I'm going to hit record. There we go.
What's going on here? Can I see people or no?
It depends. People can choose to have their video on or not. So
okay.
They're joining right now.
I see. Hello. So you control, I'm assuming, who's muted, who's not muted.
Yes.
Excellent.
So currently everyone's online. Hello, everyone.
There you go. Hello.
Hello.
We got a Michael, a Mike, Sean.
That's going to make it easy to keep track.
Pardon?
That's going to make it easy to keep track. I'm Mike in Virginia, and I'll usually have my camera up.
Nice.
Don't know who else we got. I see Sean.
Yeah, I had to keep my camera off. I'm coming to Be a Mobile today, so.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Sean.
Hello. And Jesse knows me already, so I'll probably won't be interfering in anywhere. Just maybe ask a question or two along the line.
Yes,
So
having you on.
So yeah, you will, Sean.
So glad you could
everybody's a wise guy.
So does anyone have any questions for Jesse today?
Well, I watched your interview earlier and we learned a lot about you, including that you are doing some new Hallmark movies. And I find those really interesting.
What interests you?
Well, because in addition to being a sci-fi fan, I'm a Hallmark fan, and I know that Hallmark now is kind of really big. They're starting their own conventions and gatherings for fans. I wondered whether you might be interested in reaching out to fans that way.
Oh, I mean, okay, first of all, for me, fans obviously are people, and I love people. So I'm always up for meeting people, talking to people, hanging out with people. And yes, Hallmark definitely has some pretty cool aspects for that. They do once a year, they have their big like Hallmark, get-togethers. I know the Hardys, for When Calls the Heart, they're super dedicated fans. I don't know if you're a Hardy or not, but they're very dedicated. I am. And although I've never been on the show, I attended one the first year, and it was amazing. People were so dedicated and amazing. I just met so many great people. And so, yeah, Hallmark has got, they got a lot going on. I think they do like 80 plus movies a year or something now. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't include their, like their mystery series and all that. You know what I mean? So, yes. So I do have go for it.
A lot of the people that have enjoyed Stargate seem to also gravitate toward the Hallmark. So I find that interesting. And both are usually filmed in Canada. So
interesting.
And you also mentioned that you were in an Amazon Prime film called Torn. So I actually went, and I haven't been able to watch it yet because I just heard about it today. But I watched the trailer, and that is some serious stuff.
It is. It's very complete. It was not opposite, different end than Hallmark. Absolutely. Yeah, it touches on a lot of racial issues. Racial shootings, police officers, things like that. So it's a very real and raw story. And what's really unique about that is I know almost everybody who made it. Like it was a very. I was working on Wu Assassins for Netflix, and Dan Risotto came to me, and he's the director and one of the writers and producers, and him and his team were like, hey, maybe you'd be good for this detective guy. And I was like, yeah, I'm in. Like they sent me the script and I had to read, and I loved it. Plus the fact that I knew so many people that were working on it. So it was great. I got to just go and have fun with a bunch of people that I know, and then they sold it to Amazon. So yes, as an actor, I really enjoy telling a lot of different stories. And I love doing Hallmark, Lifetime, Christmas movies. I really enjoy finding the family aspect of things. And I also really enjoy getting into stories like Torn. And then maybe I jump into a Supernatural or Project Blue Book or a sci-fi, and I just love everything. I really do like to keep people guessing, and I maybe sometimes to a fault. People like to know what you are, right? Like, are you this type of actor? Are you this type of guy? But I don't know. I find it very difficult to just sit in one. I love the idea of having like a Christmas movie come out, and then a month later I got this thriller coming out that's, just crazy.
So when you're doing a serious movie, say like Torn, do y'all talk about it beforehand and say, this is going to be a serious subject? This is what we're going for. How do you approach that?
I mean, when you read the script, you automatically have a general idea, of course, coming into something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's say you're meeting for a coffee and someone's telling you like, hey, we may be interested in this film. Here's a rough breakdown. So you get an idea, right? Okay, maybe it's about this subject matter. So you already know if it's something you're into, right? And you start toying around with the idea. And then eventually if it becomes, hey, we want you to be this guy, well, here's the script. I read it, and then I can just make a decision from there. The great thing about a feature film script is you generally know the beginning, the middle, and the end, and it's not going to change a whole lot. Sometimes with series, you sign up and you don't really know what you're signing up for in the long run, because it has to develop as the show goes along. So at that point, you need to then revert back and know what network you're on. So if I'm working on a Hallmark series, I kind of know that I'm still going to be within these boundaries, right? I know that I'm not going to be asked to do HBO things on a Hallmark project.
Mm-hmm.
If you're on an HBO project, sky's the limit. Who knows what you're going to be asked to do season 1 or 2 or episode 9 or, and again, you got to roll with it, but be aware of it, and you'll have an idea in the beginning. I mean, if you're playing a doctor, then you're probably going to be doing doctor things, and hopefully it tracks along that, right? But some movies, of course, maybe I'm not the guy to tell that story.
And also, I forgot to ask during the interview, but you mentioned you recently were in a Supernatural. And then I understood from an interview with Dean Aylesworth that he, several years ago, was on set with you as you were doing Supernatural then. How has it been to be on Supernatural through several years of series episodes?
Any particular aspect of like
How it's
like performance, cast, political, creative?
Just how it's changed and morphed through the years for you as an actor coming back.
I think as a whole, the Supernatural series, because of the cast and the crew, has a really phenomenal reputation. Everyone is awesome on that show. I mean, and it starts at the top, right? I mean, Jared and Jensen, I mean, they're both awesome, and they treat people well. They're respectful, and that trickles down in everybody. I mean, the crew is amazing, and they're dialed in, right? I mean, they just finished which season? 15? Or
I think so, yes.
Is it 15?
15, yes.
That's a long time to be doing something. So you should have that dialed in by then, which they do. I mean, they show up, they know what they're doing, they know how they're shooting it, the camera, they got it. Like, it's just a well-oiled machine. And so that's amazing. So you roll onto a set like that, and they know what they're doing. They're ready to go. They make you feel comfortable. It's natural for them, right? They're not like trying to figure stuff out. As a whole, to be on that show and then come back, it was just kind of like seeing family members that you haven't seen in a long time.
Yes. I'm just checking the chat here real quick to see if we have any questions. Okay, we're good. Let's see here. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one for you, Jesse. My cousin Mike's here on the chat with us, and he's a big fan of Friday the 13th. So what was your favorite thing about being killed by Jason Voorhees, and how hard was it to film that scene?
That scene in particular, the actual scene of me, getting a machete in the back, I think it was like 18 times. I don't know. You have to count it when you watch it. But that was one of my kind of favorite experiences of it, because of the prosthetics. So they actually created a full body prosthetic of me, like a replica. So that was quite interesting, odd. Like when you look in a mirror, right, you see a reverse of yourself and it kind of looks normal. But when you can be outside of your body and like turn your head around and like that's what my ears look like if I had no hair, it's really trippy. So for me to like they actually paid people to come in and like put hair into the legs to match like my legs. It was just the most oddest thing. So New Line Cinemas somewhere in a safe has a replica of me, creepy. But that was interesting because I did 18 and a half hours of prosthetics straight. They asked me if I wanted to break it up. And I was like, what do you guys want to do? And they're like, I don't know. We're good to go if you want to go. And I was like, heck yeah. Are you going to have Mountain Dew? And they're like, yeah, we can have Mountain Dew. And I'm like, I'm in. And so I just drank Mountain Dew, had some chocolate bars, and we went 18 and a half hours straight. They made a full body replica of me, and we had a great time. As far as the actual scene, it was actually a lot of testing. So they tested with the dummy, like the bed. The dummy looked too floppy. So they tried putting like, wood inside of it and building it up with metal. But then it looked too stiff. It didn't look real. And they tested a pneumatic bed. They tested a manual hydraulic bed that crushed. It was nuts. So when all is said and done, in the film, the top half is me, for real. My real legs go under the bed, and my fake legs are behind me. And so we found that we could mix real life, me on the top half, act it out, and I can perform the scene. And then the bottom half, of course, is just prosthetics. And so that with sound effects and the fake blood and all that, it's a very it's a memorable moment. I still get, I'd say, the most amount of fan mail and comments on that scene. They're like, oh, you're the dude who died in the bed. And so it's funny. I apparently won a death award or something like through Fangoria. I think it was like a year or two after that movie came out. It was like top 10 deaths in film. And it was like, I was like in the top 10. I was, oh, cool. One of the coolest things that happened, and I never got a copy of it, I'm so bummed, was because this was like, 2002? So social media, like newspaper clippings weren't as digital. And anyway, in the New York Times, a friend of mine was in New York, and he read a short blurb about me, and it said, Jesse Hutch dies much like Johnny Depp did in Friday the 13th. And I was like, are you kidding me? My name was with Johnny Depp. I was so pumped. And I never got a copy of it. And then I tried to find it like digitally later on. And it was just like, how do you find that? I don't know.
Well, thank you so much for being on this live chat, Jesse. For those listening.
Oh, can I ask another question?
Sure, of course.
Well, I know that you were on Arrow from the beginning, the series with Stephen Amell, and you also do stunts. So was that involved in your role on Arrow?
Arrow, not so much. Hi, sweetie. My daughter just came in to play, and she's 6 years old today.
Oh, happy birthday!
Happy birthday, sweetie. Yeah, she just all smiles. And that particular role wasn't as like action heavy, so I didn't really have to do anything for that. It's a bit of an interesting world, right? Because I am a unionized stunt performer, so like I got my bag. You can totally hire me to simply be the guy who rolls in, and I'm a guy who gets shot. Like that's it. I don't even. I have no dialogue. I actually love that, so I kind of sneak away and do that once in a while. Like, excuse me, my boy. Okay, yeah. Can you go ahead and head downstairs, please? Thank you. Okay, thank you. That was child number 2, if they had numbers. How long till number 3 comes along? No, I'm just kidding.
Have you seen the shirts for kids that say thing 1, thing 2?
I have, yes. I have. No, I haven't purchased any of those though. Where was I? Oh yeah. So
Arrow.
So as far as Arrow, no, I didn't have to do any stunts for that. And but it's a cool world. I mean, I love doing action. I did get to do a series with Steven Seagal, and that was for action. That was awesome because I played an ex-Navy SEAL, and then I had at least 2 fights like every episode. So So that was awesome. I just go and take out the bad guys, and then Steven Seagal does stuff, and then we go home, and it was a really enjoyable part of my career. I got to do a lot with Lachlan Monroe, and that she's pretty quiet, but yeah.
So do you have a preference for what kind of roles you play, whether you do dramatic roles or whether you do stunt work or maybe a combination?
Yeah. Like, is this one of those forced things where like you can only pick one?
No, well, it's your choice. If you could, what kind of roles would you do?
I mean, if I had to stick in, I love moving around. Like, I think the human heart is capable of so much, right? From humor to anger to comedy to confusion to all these emotions you can have. And that's what I really enjoy about story is like I still have these moments where, I mean, for me, like, I remember Gladiator, right? I'm sitting there and I'm watching Gladiator, and there's the scene when he drops on his knees and his family's been, murdered at that point. I still remember that moment, and I was like, wow, everybody's zoned in on this in the movie theater. And that was really impactful for me at that time in my life. And I was like, this is nuts. Like, no, wow, I'm in. And so I like being able to jump around and do a lot of different story, but I definitely have a huge heart for being able to bring like drama and action and comedy kind of together, if that's the thing. And so, I mean, there's a lot of Tom Cruise movies that I think are actually really cool. And so that would be kind of a role that I'd love to do stuff like that, like to do a Mission Impossible movie. They're fun. There's so much fun to be had, right? But would I want to live in the same world like my whole life? I could, but I really enjoy being able to move around and tell different stories. So, yeah, it's.
And you've directed also. You've directed a comedy series?
I'm developing one right now, yeah, and I do want to direct more. That's been the slow climb for me. I mean, I'd say the majority of my experience on my resume sits in acting, right? So if someone looks at my career, they go, "Oh yeah, he has 20 years experience in acting." So hopefully they'll take me seriously in that end, right? When it comes to directing, I haven't quite proven myself enough yet, right? So a lot of that I've been doing myself is like, okay, what can we go out and make, right? So we're doing a lot of self-development right now, and especially during this time, there's a lot of time at home, and we're sitting with a slate right now of about 17 projects that we feel we can start pitching soon. And so we want to have our own property that we can invest into. And so I do want to direct. So yeah, I've been working on a series. We've been calling it Fox and Hunter. I don't know what the name will end up being full time, but we're very close to having a proof of concept done. It's kind of like a Bad Boys. Bad Boys, Two Guns, the original Lethal Weapon. Like, I love the idea of like, once in a while you just got to drive a cool car. Once in a while you got to be in the middle of a shootout and have a discussion about diapers. I mean, it should be fun, right? And I want it to be for everybody. So it's an ensemble cast. It's men and women and all cultures, and it's just, what would it be like to live with these undercover agents in life, but have fun? Like that's the end goal. Is I want people going away from an episode going, I just love hanging out with that character. I want to watch some more, rather than like, oh my goodness, that was so heavy. Like, I just need to go watch a stand-up comedy. Like, and like, I mean, there's a time for it, right? There's a time for a serious, heavy movie. I get it. But series, I think, oh man, let's just have fun. So you got all the different characters. You got the pizza guy who ends up in the wrong place at the right time. You got all these different fun, nuanced characters that I'm excited to share with the public. So we are very close to having a proof of concept that I did direct and film. We had so many amazing people come on board. And I mean, we blew up a van. I had 18 actors. We filmed it in 3 days. It's been in post-production for 6 months. And we're so close to being done. And I'm excited because during this time, I want to start pitching it to people and see if we can start getting some people who are interested on the above the line, like the producer end of things, right? People that are really good at wearing those hats, because I'm learning and growing in that, but I don't want to wear that hat all the time. I want to find someone who's passionate to develop and create a series or movies and get into it. But I love directing. I love it. And I want to do more. And I would like to be known as a director as well one day. So I'm working on it.
So it looks like you're all over the place and acting in every other aspect of the business too. Are you mostly in Vancouver, or where are you shooting usually?
Vancouver is my home base. Yep.
Mhm.
There was I used to live in LA. I was blessed in the early part of my career to work on a series called American Dreams for NBC. And that took me to LA, and I ended up living there for a couple of years. And then I booked something here, and I came back, like Freddy versus Jason brought me back to Vancouver, and then I ended up back in LA and then back to Vancouver. And so I do a lot of back and forth. LA is fantastic. I have so many good friends there, and for business, it's like you can go have a coffee with somebody there. I mean, you get a lot done.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning. I've always something to learn, which is why I think I enjoy this business so much, because growing up, I never had a job longer than 3 years. I'd either figure it out, I felt, or I'd get bored and I'd peace out. So, I mean, I was a prep cook. I worked in restaurants. When I was really young, I cut lawn. I grew up on the farm, and I grew up around a lot of farms, so I did a lot of hay, and that was enjoyable because it was always kind of different. I was a whitewater raft guide for 5.5 years. That was the one job that I had over 3 years, and then I just went straight into acting.
Well, Jesse, thank you so much for coming on for the chat. Just so everyone knows, following this at, let's see here, 4 o'clock, we're going to have an interview with Cliff Simon. And then also, just so everyone knows, there is a Patreon account for the convention. It helps support the COVID Relief Fund from United Way and the guests as well. And thank you so much, Jesse, for coming on.
Hey, thank you everyone
Can we
for
do
hanging
one more
out.
question?
Sure.
No. One more. I want to go way back on your resume for when you worked. I think you were on Taken, the Steven Spielberg series. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I remember that. I was like, Steven Spielberg's name is on there.
We have any memories of that, or what can you share with us about that fabulous experience?
Yeah, I mean, that was quite early in my career, and so sci-fi again is always kind of fun. And that particular character, although it was short, I like the kind of. Oh, hold on one sec. Hey, kiddos, can you guys go play downstairs, please? Okay, well, if you want, you can pause. I'll be another 5 minutes and you can come play. Okay. Deal? I'm just doing an interview. You want to come say hi?
Sure.
Okay, you can say hi quick.
Okay.
Hi.
Okay.
Hi.
All right. Come
What's
say
your
hi.
name?
All right. You want to come say hi?
Yep, there
All
she
right.
is.
Say hi. There you go.
Hi.
All right. Thanks for stopping by, kiddos. All right, you guys head downstairs for another 5 minutes, okay? I did. I told everyone. Thank you. Taken.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because that's the one where I get infected in my brain and then I beat my head against the wall. And
Right.
yeah, that was on my demo for actually quite a while, way back then. Just because it was so eerie and odd.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was trying to show, I was like, look at me, I did a crazy stunt, and it was pretty chill. But it was one of those things that I had to not smash my head off the two-way plexiglass mirror on purpose.
That sounds like fun.
But yeah, it was also a period piece. I really enjoy period pieces as well. I've also directed a World War II piece that is a proof of concept that we have a full feature for. And Saving Private Ryan is one of my favorite movies. So to be able to be a part of a period piece, but I feel like I still have much to learn and a lot to grow in yet. And especially as an actor, I haven't reached where I want to be yet. There's so many talented people, and I'd really love to continue to work and grow towards working with those people, because being on set is kind of like being a fly on the wall, right? I learn so much from people just by being there and just listening and observing and doing my job the best I can. I learn from other people who do their work well.
Mhm.
Kiddos.
Well, thank you. Your enthusiasm is
Thank you.
infectious, and I really enjoyed talking with you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks
Thank
for the
you.
questions and hanging out.
You have a good rest of your weekend. Thank you for being a part
Thank
of this
you.
convention.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. We'll see y'all later.